Phase Hero episode 42 starts right now. Thank you for spending your Monday afternoon with us. If you're joining live, thank you for listening whenever and wherever you're listening. If you're listening / watching in podcast form or on demand later on, I'm BD, joined today by Jenna Anderson.
Hey, everybody.
We got Jamie Jirac.
42. The meaning of life is this episode. Let's go.
How'd you know? We got Aaron Perrine.
What's going on, everybody?
Oh, what's going on? What's going on is this is the podcast where we talk about Marvel, DC, superheroes, movies, TV, everything in between. And today we got a chunky show for you. Welcome to the program. It is an episode where we're going to be talking about Joe Russo's Electric State Press Tour, where he keeps on talking about the Avengers movies he's making next. Spider-Man 4's casting, Lantern's casting, Daredevil ratings, State Farm making the best DC short film anybody's ever seen. We got thoughts about Star Wars Celebration that I don't know what they are. I'm a little nervous for when they air, but Jamie's going to have an open mic night here on Phase Hero. The Lilo and Stitch trailer, the Freakier Friday trailer, and that's your little sample platter of what to expect on today's show. If you have questions for us, start dropping them in. Feel free to use the super chat. Gets you very all but guaranteed that we will read it. It doesn't guarantee we'll read it, because if you're a dick, we won't. But if you're cool and friendly, we will say thank you and answer your question. But all right, let's jump in. Oh, also, real quick, thank you to everybody who listened to the Novocaine interviews with Jack Quaid and the directors. Jack Quaid was super fun to talk to. That podcast episode is a lot of fun. It's out there now in audio form. It has some mild spoilers for Novocaine, which won the box office this weekend. The press tour for Novocaine has been top notch. Jack Quaid has been the ultimate good sport in promoting his movie, and he's clearly taking a photo in front of every billboard in LA, as one should. I get that. I understand, and I support it. And also, Daredevil director debriefs. Last week was Michael Cuesta talking about episode 3. He also directed episode 2. This week, tomorrow night, I will be releasing a Daredevil director debrief diving into Daredevil episode 4 with director Jeffrey Nachmanoff. He is back again the following week for episode 5, and then 6 and 7, David Boyd will be on Daredevil director debrief. Those episodes really just take you inside the episodes. Those Phase Hero episodes take you inside the Daredevil Born Again episodes. Let you know what the intentions are from the directors, the characters, the camera tricks, all kinds of stuff. And I've already recorded the next 4 episodes of them, and I appreciate everybody who's listening to them having a good time. But yeah, all right. Jenna, you ready to jump in today?
Absolutely. Also, the chat is pointing out we're all wearing blue today, and so they're asking if we wear blue on Phase Hero Mondays, and I endorse that. I think that sounds like fun.
If there was ever a day to wear green,
yeah,
it was today.
But we all wore blue instead.
We didn't plan this.
No.
We didn't plan this. Happy St. Patrick's Day, though, everybody. Before you go have a pint, thank you for spending your Monday afternoon with us. All right, Joe Russo, from the Irish to the Italians, let's talk about Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. Joe Russo made plenty of headlines this weekend, and I know a lot of people have a lot of thoughts. We're going to talk about the Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars genre of those headlines. He said, to Omelette, what's compelling about these 2 new Avengers movies is they're a beginning. It's a new beginning. We told an ending story with Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, and now we're going to tell a beginning story. Who knows where we'll go from there? All right. I got thoughts on this, but I want to hand it off, see if anybody has something they think about this. I saw Jenna had a head nod. And what do you think about what's your interpretation of this quote?
I have been hoping to varying degrees that post-Secret Wars we would get a rebooted version of the MCU. It feels like the easiest way to slot in the X-Men without having to justify where they've been. It feels like the easiest way to have the FF be alongside the Avengers without having them be in separate universes. So this comment of it being a beginning sounds to me like they're going in that direction. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see because we are still years away from getting that answer, but that's definitely encouraging.
Aaron, how are you feeling about this?
I mean, this is where we were headed the entire time. The entire internet rage to get us here. So we're here. We're locked in. We're locked in on the minecart. It's Donkey Kong Country. It's 1994, and there's Pizza Hut in the other room.
Aaron, I need you to calm down. You sound too excited.
We are doing it.
I think it is exciting. I think that it feels very comic booky, right? Like this whole idea, and I think that I hope they do it in a way that makes fans happy. It is, it's always going to be hard to follow Endgame. I am the number one Phase 4 or 5, whatever. The number 1 defender of whatever the multiverse saga began at. But it's all mush in my brain now. But I'm putting my trust in them. Like, I like to give the Russos a hard time, and I will continue giving the Russos a hard time. But I'm like, I think they know what they're doing in this specific realm.
2 things I want to say real quick. First, we have to acknowledge this very valid comment. So Jamie hates St. Patrick's Day. Jamie hates, it's true, confirmed. You heard it here first.
I would like to go on record that I ate corned beef and cabbage yesterday.
Nice.
However, I'm more of a Halloween kind of a partier than the St. Patrick's Day girl. I feel
Jamie throws down on Halloween.
Yeah.
Jamie throws down, but
Yeah.
St. Patrick's Day is not my kind of party day. I'll tell you that right now. I'd rather watch a nice Irish film at home.
That's
Going off of what you said about giving the Russos a hard time, it has become very cool to give the Russos a hard time in general online. And for that reason, I kind of think Doomsday and Secret Wars, paired with how it's cool to give the Marvel Cinematic Universe a hard time, they have the odds stacked against them in terms of winning people over with these movies. I watched The Electric State. I read the reviews for The Electric State. The Electric State is getting shredded by people. It's not a great movie. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I didn't love it, but it's also not like 18% bad that a Rotten Tomato score would imply. At least that was my take on it. It felt a lot like it used so many of the same tricks they used in Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, mostly Infinity War, but without the sort of richness of the characters and the builds of those characters. So I don't know. I honestly think if it came out 7 years ago, people would have liked it a lot more before it became super into hate on these kind of movies and all that kind of stuff. I get it. People want a different updated menu when they're ordering something to eat. But for me, I found it entertaining enough to not be like, this is the pile of slop that everybody loves to throw around. It's like an echo chamber of repeating the same useless and sentiment void criticisms. Like, you can criticize people, but sitting there and saying, this is just more Russo brothers slop. I mean, that's not criticism. What does that mean? Cherry and 21 Bridges, which they produced, all these different movies they've directed since Infinity War are all quite different, by the way. So it's not just like this slop machine that everybody in the Twitter responses refers to. I don't know. I mean, Electric State's not great, but it's not this awful pile of slop that I keep seeing people refer to it as. It's just whatever.
I will always happily go on record saying I enjoyed The Gray Man. Was it a cinematic masterpiece? No. Did I have a great time watching that movie? I sure did. I haven't watched Electric State yet, but I plan to because I gotta know. I found the press tour for that movie quite charming. The video of Millie Bobby Brown showing Chris Pratt showing Millie Bobby Brown 90s technology was very enjoyable to watch. So,
and it's also like, obviously, yes, everybody knows I'm a fan of the Russos, the people and the directors. So I know I might be looking at it through those glasses, but I mean, and if you don't like the movie, that's fine. A lot of people wrote honest, fair reviews that were very negative and that's your take. I just think, I think it's just become sort of commonplace and a bit of an echo chamber in some regards with a lot of these films. And maybe that's what happens with things like Madam Web too, which I joined that echo chamber. I know.
Vindication.
I've been on this island for 3 years. I'm just glad that it got bad enough outside. Everybody's like on it now. Like, it's not the movies themselves. There's nothing else that explains what's going on. Like it's literally, a Simpsons gag where like Godzilla's tearing the streets up outside, and you're like, man, it's raining. That's why I'm upset. Everybody's just a little miserable. I think they need to start putting, antidepressants in the water.
For the audio listeners,
Holy
Jamie is Vanna Whiting her Madam Web steelbook very proudly.
Jesus. How much did the Madam Web steelbook cost, Jamie?
That was a Christmas gift. I didn't pay for that. It was on my Christmas list. Don't mistake it. It was on the list.
Oh man.
Alex Glean, thank you, my friend. $9.99 dropping in to show you guys some love. Catch y'all in the replay. That came in just to drop a $9.99 and then come back and watch us later. Thank you, Alex. Extraction was dope. Gray Man less so. I'm more likely to watch Rebel Moon than Electric State. No. And listen, I know of the panel of us here, I'm the highest on Snyder as well, but I can't even give Rebel Moon. Not the original cut. I watched the long cut too. It's definitely better, but that Rebel Moon was rough. All right. RDJ coming back as Doom. Kevin Feige's idea? Joe Russo said to Omelet again, that was Kevin Feige. And interesting enough about that was that conversation was had a while ago. And then Robert tried to talk us into doing it. And weirdly, and we said no weirdly because we said we wouldn't come back. I butchered that quote. It's not as sultry as when Jamie reads the quotes, but I tried. But yeah, so yeah, I know that the RDJ of it all happened long before Comic-Con. Russo's also happened many long before Comic-Con. And so I find it interesting that RDJ was coming back, and then it was like, okay, well, that might have been a hook to get the Russos back. Kevin Feige has a master plan, it seems. What are we thinking?
I mean, I would expect that from someone in Feige's role. Like, I'm glad that he was able to kind of lead the initiative and take that big swing. It makes me look forward to the inevitable sequel to Joanna Robinson's MCU book where, like, we dive into the specifics of all of this. Because I would love to know, like, what was the timeline, especially given everything else that's surrounded this kind of pivot. Like, it'll be really interesting to eventually know what all of the specifics are. But yeah, it's unsurprising to know, like, it was in the works for as long as it was.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought we knew it was Feige's idea. And to me, that just seemed like, oh yeah, obviously. Because Feige, the way Feige talks about RDJ.
Did you just call him Foggy?
Foggy, yeah. R.I.P. Is that is he clearly sees him as the heart, the start, the everything, and I've talked in length about how I feel about this choice, and but Jenna, you're right. The sequel is going to be quite an interesting read.
Oof.
Brandon, can I draw a corollary because you've been on this, you along with probably other people. I just not on Twitter, so I don't see it. But we need the same goofy WrestleMania backstory, like documentary that The Rock and them put together about last year about this. We need the exact same treatment of it. Like, even if it doesn't completely line up, it just would be fascinating to hear what the actual timeline of events was to figure out and land on this idea. I would watch that. Hell,
in an age of like AI and like computer generated bots and all kinds of stuff like that. And I really think this is a big reason we're seeing a shift in just digital media as well. People are drawn to people rather than brands. And I find, like, I'll see Heavy Spoilers will constantly joke about this, but there's some truth to his joke too on Twitter, how IGN will have a review, but it's always a different person writing the review. And that's not just IGN. He just happens to do it with IGN, but every outlet has a different person writing the review. So how do you know what's what? And people want to, like those sort of things, like people wanting to know the person they're getting insights from, how they did it, all that stuff. Like that WrestleMania documentary you just referenced, Aaron. People really enjoy that authentic look behind the curtain now. People want to see how something was made. And I find it really, like, you talk about WWE, that I always say, I think WWE is ahead of the curve in how to reach people and how to monetize things and how to like just capitalize on trends in media and distribution and things like that. WWE is always peeling back the curtain now and letting you know a little too much, to be honest with you, some of that stuff. But they'll show you Logan Paul rehearsing, jumping from the side of the ring onto the table before how he learned that Royal Rumble spot. And then after you see it on TV, I would love a documentary about the MCU acknowledging, yeah, we made these mistakes. We started panicking, or maybe not panicking, but having these moments and meetings and pivotal things behind the scenes. We had that retreat that Variety talked about where we considered Doom. It was real. This is why. I would watch the hell out of that. And it would really make me appreciate what we end up getting also and rewatching things and what they did with the storytelling. Because the storytelling itself is the entry point. It's very interesting. But then how they come up with the story. Sorry, I took Aaron's point and like over rambled about it.
It's all right.
But I find that stuff to be really interesting. Those assembled episodes are kind of the tip of the iceberg. Mm-hmm. I would love I would love it if somebody who wasn't at Marvel Studios made the documentary. But I would settle for Marvel and Disney making one just to really get a look in at how it was done. All right, one last thing. Speaking of how it's done, they still use the baseball cards approach. This was mentioned in Joanna Robinson's book, but they told Joe Russo and Anthony Russo told THR now they have magnets on them instead of baseball cards. So we put them on a board and look at them. It's the only way to keep track of the amount of characters that we're working with. this was something where I think they would like have the contract status and cost of each actor and all that kind of stuff on a board. I think that was Joanna's book that revealed that.
Yeah, it was basically they had like dollar signs from like $1 was like the least expensive, $5 was the most expensive of like their contracts. And then they had how many movies are left on their contract, stuff like that. And like when this went around on Twitter this past week, people were like, this is such a crazy way to look at this. I understand it because it's like having sticky notes all over a board for like a thing that you're working on. Like this is just a visual way to work with it. And especially when the amount of characters they could work with have now like doubled since Endgame, I don't blame them for doing this at all. It definitely makes sense in this instance.
Talk about something they should release a documentary. Show us that board. Show us
that murder board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I assume it's got to be like branched, right? Like, you know, this character is only in the, like, you know, this guy's movies, and how it's got to be insane. It's got to be like the length of an entire boardroom.
It'd be so cool to see that process.
Yeah.
I was just about to say, like, if you've ever been in a really, really intense fantasy football league or whatever, that crap laminated, they got their folders and like play sheets and like, oh my God, the branching possibilities. Tom Hiddleston in the middle of it, wagering, like you can't put him over there. You have to okay that with Taika. Like, what are you doing? This doesn't make any sense. Would be fascinating, but that's exactly why it won't happen.
Yeah. We got Roscoe off topic, but I want to thank Jenna for Go Read Some Comics. I use it to encourage my middle school students to read, and it's working.
Yay.
Yeah.
I love hearing that. Thank you so much.
Amazing. All right, we got some Spider-Man 4 news.
Ooh, the group chat was popping off on this one. Sadie Sink has been cast in a key role, and the internet has theories. They're saying Firestar, Mary Jane Watson, Jean Grey. She actually spoke to Josh Horowitz about the Jean Grey rumors, and she said, "This is news to me. I have nothing to say about this. The rumors are cool, though. It's an awesome rumor. Great." We talked about this ahead of the show, like great Stranger Things practice. She's gonna crush those MCU press tours. My personal favorite of the rumors is Firestar, because Tony loves Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. So I've seen a lot of that show, and the idea of like Tom Holland leading that kind of crew is really fun to me. I think it's a little too soon to be getting X-Men. I would be shocked if she was Jean Grey, but I feel like Jenna has some really strong thoughts on this one.
I do. I made an entire video about this on my channel, kind of like diving into every single theory, because I also do love the Gwen Stacy theory, just to continue the trend of redheaded actresses having to put on a blonde wig to play Gwen Stacy, because we would be 3 for 3 if that was the case. I think the Jean Grey of it all, I can't see Sony wanting to have the X-Men be introduced on that level in a Spider-Man movie. That just feels like way too much to need to handle. And I know Sadie was already rumored for Jean Grey, but that has just been a straight up rumor at this point. We don't know if that's just like her face might be on the Andy Park concept art that they're internally working on for X-Men. Like, we don't know if she's actually approached for that role. But I agree. I think Firestar is a kind of, that's something we've never seen in live action in a major context, but it has so much of a fandom around that animated show and around that era. Like, that feels like a slam dunk to make this movie feel different.
I mean, let's hope. Let's hope. The Firestar is the most interesting option out of all of the possibilities, I would have to say. But I don't know what's going on over there. It sounds like we're in Dipsy-Doo land with Spider-Man 4, and it is not the grounded movie that people were hoping for in any way, shape, or form, which I am excited about. But I know, as Brandon talks about things getting graded on a curve, things having to battle against other things, that sentiment was very strong after No Way Home. Like, it was everywhere back when I actually used to use Twitter. And I wish them the best, because I think it's going to be really fun. Like, I think people really miss Spider-Man. It's one of the only things that people turn up for no matter what. It don't matter if he's animated. It don't matter if it's Miles or Peter. It doesn't matter if it's a children's show that's very charming that comes on Disney Junior. People show up for Spider-Man. So I'll enjoy whatever we end up getting there, you know?
Oh, I forgot to mention one other theory that I feel like the chat would love. I would not rule out the possibility of her being Mayday for Toby and his Spider-Man, of like, this is their teenage daughter who's now becoming Spider-Girl. Because like, if they want to retread No Way Home without doing the same exact thing again, that would be really cool.
That's really cute. I like that a lot. I also want to say I hate the Mary Jane Watson theory, because I think that would be a disservice to Zendaya. Like, I think that would be like, how dare you? Like, oh, she wasn't the real MJ, surprise. That would make me want to go punch somebody in the face.
Yeah.
The fact that we can't even outlaw it is unfortunate. The fact that we can't even check that out is a little bit annoying, but who knows? I'm now hoping for Jenna's theory because that's nuts. Let's go.
Yeah, that's the one I want most, but it also sounds like the most ambitious. I don't think the Jean Grey of it all sounds like something Sony wouldn't want. I mean, they threw Iron Man in, they had Doctor Strange in there. I think if it's something that adds value to the movie, I think Jean Grey, any X-Men character would, but I also don't know like how do we make sense of that in terms of, where are we going with that? It's also a chance she just doesn't play any major character. Like, who knows? Maybe she's just like a classmate. I hope that's not the case. Now I want Jenna's to be true. I'll be pissed if
Misha in the comments, who's like, time skip Zendaya going full redhead. MJ might put me in the hospital. You and me both.
Yep.
Y'all on a full press tour with her in long red bust down is amazing. It would be true art, but we don't get nice things on this timeline, so who knows?
Daredevil Born Again ratings were 7.5 million viewers in the first 5 days, which has Agatha and Acolyte fans partying in the streets. Agatha drew 9.3 million in the first week for its first episode. I believe Acolyte, the report is like 11. So I don't know what you make of this. I think Daredevil gets a little bit of a pass in the press, given that it's Daredevil and not Agatha or Acolyte, and you can interpret what I mean from that as you wish. But I also think I don't know if that doesn't sound great when you compare it to things that people are saying we're not going to get more of. Like flat out, it just doesn't sound like a great figure. 7.5 million views, though, and a rating system is good by cable standards, but I don't know, compared to these other things that people are complaining about and saying we're not going to get more of, I don't really know how to take this. What do we think of this?
Well, I don't think we were ever supposed to have more Agatha, so I don't think that that's really a fair comparison. Acolyte, I understand, but also they're just talking about the first episode. I hate to admit that Acolyte had a drop off, but it did. I mean, we all know I love that show, and will forever be livid that we're not getting a second season. But the Agatha thing was like, I don't know. I don't think that's really worth comparing. Of course, I love seeing that Agatha got more than Daredevil because great, people want women stories. That's all that sounds to me. But I don't think this is something to be like, oh, getting your big high horse about, oh, it's better. Because I do think there are a chunk of people that didn't watch the Netflix show and feel that maybe they don't know what's going on. I think that that's all that this is. But I would like to say I was at a little get together yesterday, and I met this guy. We were chatting, and he told me, he's like, I'm loving Born Again, and I never once watched a single episode of the original show. And I was like, oh, that's very interesting to hear. I'm going to relay that information to an audience. And so I don't think this is something to like really think too much like into. Yeah. I think people are really enjoying Born Again. We're still getting the season 2.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, because I was going to say that they're filming season 2 right now. Like they're filming in New York. They're not going to suddenly shut down that production because, we're a little lower in the ratings than Agatha or Acolyte. It's also like, as people in the chat are pointing out, Daredevil is TVMA. And depending on what parental controls you have on Disney Plus, it might not even be like a title that you are presented. So I think there are so many different factors to it. And either way, we're still getting more of that story. So it's whatever to me.
The people are for Jen Walters.
Yes.
Jen Walters. If she had been in the first 2 episodes, we wouldn't be having this discussion right now. I did that just for Jamie and Jenna.
Thank you.
I wish people just watch stuff that they liked. I wish that
the tribalism these days, man.
Yep.
It's really bad. Like, I don't know. Like, tell you what, if you're on the fence about certain parts of Daredevil Born Again, come on back tomorrow. I think a lot of you are going to be excited.
The show's just good. Like I don't know. I see mostly positivity, and there's negativity about everything these days. But I also want to add a caveat here that I didn't put in that first when I was reading the stats. The 7.5 million is from 5 days, whereas Agatha was 9.3 and 7. So they're probably going to be very similar. And Acolyte did have a fall off. Pretty substantial fall off over the course of the season, whereas I think Daredevil is going to pick up. I think there's a lot of word of mouth, and most of it is positive, but there is some negativity. And it's, again, I talked about this last week. It's if something isn't the best thing ever. They ruined the Daredevil. They took her down and they ruined Daredevil. Shut up, man. I just can't do the negativity. I try. I shouldn't even be calling attention to it right now. But I think everyone I talk to in real life, who I know to be a normal person, not that you're abnormal if this isn't you, but everyone I talk to is like, I really love this show. I got a text last night from a friend. I just watched episode 3 of Daredevil, dude. This show's great. Like, I don't know what else whatever. If you don't like it, that's if you have value. Listen, again, that doesn't mean, whatever. Show's good. I hope people keep watching it. We're already getting season 2. I just want people to keep watching it. So that it's also, I saw people commenting, is it TVMA, which means people, like, some people can't even access it on the Disney Club. Like, kids can't access it. So that's a factor too. If it wasn't TVMA, it might have had bigger ratings. I don't know. But then I can't imagine the complaining if it wasn't. State Farm just drops the greatest DC Comics short film possibly in the history of DC Comics short films, which I don't really know what that history is.
I was going to say the caveat of that might be live action, because there are some great shorts that have been made out of DC characters, but this was a State Farm like ad campaign, and they were teasing it for like a week or two on TV, and then it just built to this 2-minute long thing, and it's insane.
Jordan the Stallion is Commissioner Gordon. Do y'all know Jordan the Stallion from his social media videos? Yeah,
he's great.
I see him at like every movie premiere now. Big time over there. Where is he? Commissioner Gordon.
Oh, this dude.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God.
And then Batman is Jason Bateman. It's Bateman. Have you guys watched this yet? Jamie, Aaron, have you seen this?
No. When I was looking at the stories, I was like, there are 5 names listed, and I only know who 2 of them are, so I really wanted to step back.
Yeah, this is hilarious. I mean, this was not a Super Bowl ad, but it should have been.
It would have been expensive because it's like a 2-minute long short. Like, that would have been a lot of airtime.
The Riddler is in it. These are SZA is Catwoman. This is I think this might be the kind of thing that previous leadership, and I'm not talking about Zack Snyder, I'm talking about executives, would have not let this happen. One of the things Safran and Gunn kept saying when they had that meeting, like a month ago now, a little over about that, was how they're focused on licensing and things like that. They're trying to make things like this happen. They didn't say this, but I assume this is the kind of thing. This Two-Face. And then we get like first of all, we have Batman, an actual. They put a live action Batman in a State Farm commercial.
Also, I will say to your comment about previous leadership, they did have like Jake from State Farm appear at like DC Fandom and stuff. So like there is a history of this partnership. It is just, this is definitely the most extensive thing that they've done so far. And like these costumes are surprisingly good for a commercial.
Yeah,
wow.
Kai Cenat everywhere.
Let's go.
Is anybody making more money than Kai Cenat right now? And then this Joker. Look at this Joker.
Wild.
Better than Leto.
Listen, we all thought it.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
That's my purpose.
That's like one of the best iterations of a live action Joker designs, though. That's really up there. Josh Harp plays the Joker, for those wondering. All right. I don't really know what else there's to talk about this, but if you want to watch the State Farm DC ad, I highly recommend doing so. What is our next topic for the day? Oh, we're switching over. We're staying on the DC train.
Yeah. So Jason Ritter has been cast in Lanterns. It was funny because this casting came a couple days after he went viral for defending his wife looking great at the Oscars and being like, yes, I can fight, all of the people asking if I can fight. He will play Billy Macon, who is described as a, quote, good-looking charmer who does his father's bidding. Capitalizing on his family's reputation, he clings to his small-town ego and has everything to lose. So a couple of the other characters already on the show, we have Garrett Dillahunt as his father, Kelly MacDonald as Carrie, who is supposedly his wife, and then we have Kyle Chandler as Hal Jordan, Aaron Pierre as Jon Stewart, and Nicole R.E. Parker as Bernadette, who is John's mom, Porna Jonathan as Zoe, and Ulrich Thompson as Sinestro. So this cast is coming together.
This cast is insane. Does Max miss?
No.
Does Max ever miss?
I mean, HBO's killing it right now. Like, it makes me happy this is properly airing on HBO because, like, HBO is just on a hot streak, it feels like, for, like, the next couple months. Like, every single show that's coming out is great.
HBO just knows how to tee it off like Abby from The Last of Us.
Oh, boy.
Oh, if you know, you know. I can't wait for this show. I can't wait for this.
I love Jason Ritter. I'm so excited for him. I have to find it. I have a picture of me when I was 15 with Jason Ritter. I met him at a film festival when I was a teenager, and it's so silly because it's like very clearly like a 2005 photo. And I love seeing him thrive. He's one of the examples of like we love a good nepo baby, and he is absolutely one of the good ones.
Is HBO the gold standard in streaming right now?
I mean, people are saying Apple, but like I feel like HBO is definitely up there, just in terms of like consistency in multiple shows.
The thing about HBO is that they've continued the HBO model that was far before streaming. You know, when they were thriving so long ago with, you know, The Sopranos and even like Sex and the City. And the thing is, they never tried to do that binge drop thing. They've always kept up with the weekly model, which I think is why they're so good. Like I'm so in the weekly White Lotus drop right now.
Yeah.
Like pump it into my veins, and like even like with Harley Quinn, I'm excited that it's coming to HBO every week, and so I think that's why that they are good because they never really change. They've done some things though that we can be mad about. Like I'm not going to forgive them for Our Flag Means Death, but for the most part, yeah, they're up there.
Yeah.
And also they were the first ones to do that day and date theater and home release, which was quite a choice. But I mean, Mickey 17 is about to be on Max or on demand, not on Max. Sorry, huge difference. Available for purchase at home in like less than 3 weeks from now.
Wow. I mean, the windows are getting smaller and smaller. Like, I feel like Companion's already on digital. Like, the one Mark Wahlberg movie was on digital like 2 weeks after it came out. Like, that unfortunately is the norm and not really exclusive to HBO and WB. But yeah.
I don't like it. I could rant about it, but I'm not going to. Instead.
Oh, is it time?
Yes.
Let me tell you guys something. About a year ago, they announced that Star Wars Celebration was going to be in Japan. And I thought, oh my gosh, Japan? That's going to be difficult to get to. But it is the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith. One of the most important movies in my personal life. This whole year for me is about the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith. The first movie I watched in 2025 was Revenge of the Sith, so that my Letterboxd stats would show it as the first movie all year long. This is all I've cared about. This week, I'm unemployed, and I still booked the trip to Japan. I said, I'm not missing this. So they announced the panel this week for Star Wars Celebration. Nothing for Revenge of the Sith. You're not going to celebrate? That is clearly, absolutely everyone's favorite prequel movie. I mean, there's no doubt about it. They did an anniversary panel for Phantom Menace in Chicago. They did one for Attack of the Clones. I'm sorry, where is my Revenge of the Sith panel? Hayden's going to be there. Put Hayden, give him a spotlight. Just give Oscar Isaac's doing a spotlight. Just put Hayden Christensen in a chair. And you know what? Of all of the people you can get photos with at Pay For It Star Wars Celebration, Hayden is right now the only one who's sold out. Oscar Isaac's not even sold out. Hayden's sold out. Give the people what they want. Revenge of the Sith panel. Also, the website of reserving things has been a nightmare. I sat in a queue for 15 minutes just to get a time slot to go to the con store, and they put me in a queue for a different website, for a different thing. I sat there for 15 minutes, and by the time I realized what they had done, the whole con store was sold out. Get together. That's it.
I completely forgot that was how the con store worked because I remember that from when they were here in Chicago, and you just gave me so much PTSD. Like, it just washed over me in a wave. But I agree with you. Like, isn't Ewan going to be there too? Like, just put the two of them. Really?
He's not.
Oh,
No.
Man.
I know. I was holding out hope. I really wanted that Ewan Hayden photo up. I was ready to drop a stupid amount of money to get a photo with those two men. And now I can't even get Hayden. But that's on me. What can you do?
Whew. Do you see that? You see all the plastic cases behind Jamie melting right now? I did not know that. Is it like there's actually not going to be anything for Revenge of the Sith at Celebration?
Nope. There's one like a panel about like something technical that really has nothing to do with the movie or the anniversary at all. But there's one panel with the movie's title in it, and it has again nothing remotely exciting.
Wow, that's surprising. I remember at it was Celebration in Anaheim when they brought the two of them out for Obi-Wan, and they had the choir singing and everything. It was just chills. And now, wow, interesting. Adrian, Jamie, execute Order 66. Wow, yeah, that is odd. I'd be really surprised if they don't add something, but also maybe because it's in Japan, they can't get everybody. Maybe it's difficult.
Fine, but you have Hayden already. That's all you need to get people to show up for a panel. Like, seriously, call it Hayden Christensen talks about Mustafar for 40 minutes, and I will stand in a line for 5 hours to see that.
Top comment, Roscoe says, Jamie's rant is better than Daredevil, and I love Born Again.
Thank you.
Whew. All right. Well, fair. Here it is. You don't miss a Jamie rant, everybody. Nobody's safe. Nope. Anything could happen. We're going to move it on here to Lilo and Stitch, which is far more of a celebration because the trailer for Lilo and Stitch dropped, the teaser for Lilo and Stitch dropped. And it is like the second most watched live action trailer Disney's ever released, behind only 2019's The Lion King. And the consensus, from what I'm seeing, they nailed it.
Interesting. That is not what I've been seeing on the internet.
Really?
I'm living on a different internet, I guess. People are pissed from the point of view I'm seeing.
Why?
About inconsistencies, about some of the casting. I've just seen a lot of things about it. Right down to they're mad that this ice cream man, it has a snow cone.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen everything.
No.
I have to tell you, I don't intend to see this movie. I could care less, but I couldn't care less. But I am obsessed with this little girl. I have every time she comes on a little interview, I have to watch it. She's adorable. So I'm sure she's going to be a great little Lilo.
I agree with Jamie. I think I'm somewhere in the middle between those two reactions. I love the original movie so much. Like, I can quote it from memory, and like it's interesting seeing shot for shot the level of recreation that they're doing here, and I just hope that they like live up to that. But even like to Jamie's point, people are really unhappy that Pleakley is just like, his disguise is just a human man, that there is not any of the flamboyance and the extra level that we have in the animated movie. Like, I've seen so many TikToks about that. But I don't know, I'm optimistic. I feel like this movie could be fun, it could be delightful, but there's definitely some decisions being made.
It's really interesting to listen to all like the different like takes, even on this panel about this movie. It's like one of my overarching things that I really found interesting is that we are firmly in the era now of Zoomer nostalgia, not even millennial nostalgia pointed at us, Zoomer nostalgia, because I think that I'm just a little bit older, just a smidge too old to really have this hit and be like those Disney Renaissance movies. But for Zoomers, this, Inside Out 2 and the upcoming Zootopia 2 are like Tangled, Frozen, like Moana. These are their movies. So like there's a real love for them that I kind of maybe underestimated a little bit in some ways. I mean, the soundtrack to Lilo Stitch is fire, so I'm not surprised in any way, but it is like really interesting to see like a change in the guard. Also, there was a really cool thread on Blue Sky about how maybe some of the audience that really loves these Disney movies is somehow quote unquote ashamed of liking animation, and that these live action remakes offer them a path to liking the movies out loud. And you see that reflected in these trailer numbers and the way that they're going to do these crazy numbers at the box office. Because me and Ario were talking about it like 2 nights ago at dinner. That Moana that they already shot with Rock playing Maui in live action, get ready, guys. The live action thing isn't going to just stop. I know a lot of film Twitter would like it to like end. I don't really see that happening. And the thing's going to make $1 gorillion.
I find it so interesting because I see the comments right now. A lot of people in our comment section are not super high on this trailer. I've been spending less time on Twitter. It's been really more peaceful. But the times I was on Twitter was I looked at the discussing film responses, and which, by the way, this is the most watched trailer in discussing films Twitter history. But I just saw a lot of people being like, oh, and people who responded to me when I shared the trailer, which got more traction than I thought it would. I didn't realize the Lilo and Stitch fan base was as avid and spread and massive as it is. But everybody who replied, not everybody, but most people who have replied to me were like, oh, this actually looks pretty good. I can't believe it. And I was like, oh, people are enjoying it. And then I guess I just missed the other pocket of the internet, which I usually feel like I'm exposed to.
You can usually tell how confident the studio is in the movie through merch too. It's me and Jenna's corner. Let's go. Me and Jenna, crab rangoons, things of that nature, figuring out the plot points of movies. And the full court press for Lilo and Stitch has been on for like half a year over at the parks. Yeah. They doing ears already. There's 2-3 different lounge flies. There's all the shirts and stuff. I got one for my little brother for Christmas because he is a consumer who is amped. He didn't know this thing existed till the trailer came out. And he was like, oh, they're doing live action Lilo and Stitch. And I'm like, this giant man who's taller than me, just excited, unbridled excitement. So, and me too, Cameron.
999 from Cameron Lang said, love a Jamie rant, and I want to see Myrtle get beat down in live action.
Yes. I think we don't have this on the rundown, but I feel like this is a good segue just to mention. I cannot believe that the Snow White movie is getting fairly decent reviews. Same. I was ready for that movie to be just absolutely demolished by the first responses, and I love Rachel Zegler so much. I think she is so deeply talented. I cannot wait to see where her career goes, and I'm like, maybe I gotta see it now just for her. That was the movie that I'm like, I was not gonna see it, and now I'm curious.
I agree. Yeah. I love Rachel. I will go to war for her. And so I'm so thankful that it is being met with the response that it is, especially given the long road that this movie has had to even get here. I'm glad that she at least can enjoy this experience and people are celebrating her.
I saw even towards the funniest timeline. The funniest timeline is all this stupid controversy, and then the movie does fine because it's for 8-year-olds. And then what do we do? It happened before.
No, Aaron, this movie made for 8-year-olds has to be judged and torn apart as if it was made for serious adults.
Brandon, can I just do a little quick thing with ladies, please? Allow me this dalliance. I was saying to Ariel at dinner, we talk a lot, apparently, in our house. We don't do a lot of eating. We just talk around the table a lot. And I was saying, you know how hard Jay Uso would hit if I was 8 years old? I'd be like, this is the coolest man in the world. So much of the stuff we enjoy is made for 13-year-olds. I'm like, you know how hard this would hit? I'd be like, he's on sunglasses. Oh my God. Mom, I need a shirt for Christmas. I need it. So it's it would just be hilarious if all this controversy, all this stuff, and then Snow White gives you $150 million opening. And then now what? What do we do?
Then what's left? What could they mine from their previous animated movies?
See, but there's some of the weirder ones of Atlantis and Treasure Planet. Those would be an easy slam dunk for a live action remake, because there's reverence for them, but at the same time there's so much more that they could do. Those are the movies that people have really been wanting, as opposed to going back to the capital C classics and trying to do them.
Have y'all been looking at the comments? I love this community. There are a lot of just weird Dark Horse Disney animation stuff getting brought up in the corner. You bring up
Oliver Company.
Hell yeah.
It's Oliver Twins.
Yo,
Kronk. Give me a sexy Kronk in live action.
The black hole with the black cauldron. I'm like, yo, you guys, listen. The comment section knows ball. What's up?
Well, we're going to get off the Disney train for a second here because Jenna and Jamie specifically had something they wanted.
We're getting back on the Disney train. It's still a Disney movie.
This is the Disney train. Damn it. I literally have it up right now. All right. Well, Phase Hero continues riding the Disney train today with another movie trailer that I know Jenna and Jamie were excited about.
I know Jamie does not wake up early, and so when this trailer dropped, I texted it to her. Her phone was still on Do Not Disturb, and I'm like, when she wakes up, I know she will enjoy this. It is the Freakier Friday trailer. We have talked about our love for this movie privately. This was a foundational text in my household. I'm also just gobsmacked that this sequel comes out on my actual birthday, which if you told me that when I was 8 years old, I would have passed out. That is the best thing ever. I really liked this trailer. I thought people are still nitpicking things because, as we said, that's the nature of the internet right now. But I thought it was really fun. I want to know what Jamie thinks.
This is one of my most anticipated movies of the year. You guys know I was named after Jamie Lee Curtis. I love that woman, and just to see Lindsay thriving makes my heart so happy. What's her name? Elaine Hendricks is in this movie, and I'm like, the Parent Trap remake is one of my all-time favorite movies too.
Yeah,
and like more than the Freaky Friday, I would say the Parent Trap is my sacred text, and the fact that there's like a Lindsay Elaine a reunion in here makes me so happy. But I have to tell you, I am like genuinely heartbroken that I don't have an outlet to do this junket. Like when this movie was announced, we all still had jobs, and that day I messaged our boss at the time, was like, when this happens, you better let me do that junket. You better put me in a room with Jamie Lee Curtis again. And I'm like genuinely like so sad. Maybe who knows what'll happen by August, but like all I want is to be a part of this in some way. It's just so like, this is the nostalgia I'm here for, and I'm so glad it's going to be in theaters. Like, I really thought this was just going to be a Disney Plus dump, and the fact that it's not makes me feel like they have high hopes for it.
What was the rom-com last year that made all that money that no one thought was going to make all that money?
Oh, Anyone But You?
Anyone But You?
Yeah.
This has the same arc developing for me, where it's like people are going to underestimate this little movie. There's a giant nascent fan base that has been waiting most of their adult lives to see a follow-up to it, and it's going to probably overperform. I just think that's a major part of this. I mean, like, once again, movies that maybe I wasn't my immediate favorite, but I watched a ton on Disney Channel as children, and then now, like, as an adult, if you have kids, you're going to be like, oh yeah, let's do that. I was excited when this came through too, for Jamie mostly.
Also, it should be noted that Freaky Friday, there have been so many Freaky Fridays. This has been like a long-standing tradition that goes back like well before any of us were born. There have been this Freaky Friday, the 2003 Freaky Friday, I think was like the third Freaky Friday movie. So the fact that, but it's like the first one to get a sequel, like that's interesting and noteworthy, I think.
Chad Michael Murray.
Yeah.
Wait, can I tell you a story real quick?
Yeah.
Completely unrelated, but it has to do with Chad Michael Murray. When I was in college, how my whole thing started here, like just got into media. I was working on a project that I thought I was going to be able to pitch to AMC. I never ended up pitching it to AMC, but we filmed the first episode of this thing I was writing because I wanted to make movies and act and direct and write and stuff. And I worked at a bar at the time. And at the bar one night, Antoine Tanner came into the bar. And I don't know if anybody watched One Tree Hill, but Antoine Tanner and Chad Michael Murray were in One Tree Hill together. And then the next day we ended up filming something with Antoine Tanner. And he was like, we should get Chad Michael Murray to do this. And he was like really helpful, but I think also just trying to like create work and stuff. It never got that far, but there was like at one point a version of Brandon who thought he was going to make this like TV show with Chad Michael Murray and Antoine Tanner. And so now every time I see Chad Michael Murray on screen, I think about that. I mean, Antoine Tanner was a nice guy back when I met him and worked with him. We did a scene together. Okay. But no Chad Michael Murray. But that's random cool story. Random lore builder for the Phase Hero crew.
That's wild. I wonder if in that universe, Chad Michael Murray still went on to Riverdale and played like an evil Knievel cult leader like he did on Riverdale. It was great, by the way. Highly recommend that season.
Can I tell you that when Chad Michael Murray showed up in Riverdale as a parent of one of the teenagers is probably the oldest I've ever felt in my life. I truly like was taken aback as somebody who like grew up with him in teen shows. I was like, oh no, I'm getting old.
I'm getting old. All right. On that note, that's our show, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging with us on this fine Monday, St. Patty's Day. Wear your best shade of blue afternoon. Jamie, any last words for today's show?
Yeah, I'm doing like a week of so many podcasts. So I want to plug, I'm on the new Mostly Superheroes, which was so much fun to do. Those guys were great. The new Lido, you guys have to check out because we had Gio Carrera on, and he's a stuntman that's worked with Marvel since Iron Man. And he's also did stunts on the upcoming Superman. And I asked him about it, and he gave a little nugget, but he also is in an episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So he was a very cool interview. So you guys should check that episode out. And then on Friday, I'm doing Agents of Fandom for the Severance finale, and then I'm going to be on Slayerfest 98's Patreon talking about like an old X-Men animated series episode. Like this whole week, I'm just like, I am not leaving this seat. So keep an eye out for all that business, everybody.
Jenna, what you got?
It's at Hey It's Jenna Lynn on social media. As always, go read some comics and go subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is at Go Read Some Comics. There have been multiple very nice comments about the channel in this chat, in this live stream, and I really, really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much.
It's a damn good channel.
Thank you.
Aaron?
Oh God, it's at Summit Lake Hornet all over the internet. Go follow How to Watch Free TV. I tried to make you guys a video in the Instagram play defense against content, so it did not happen. But this week we're recording the first episodes of the pod. We're trying to get our guests to be there physically for him to beam him aboard the ship, but we're having problems with triangulation, so we'll see. There's a scoop coming here when we do that interview that Brandon knows about. Yeah, you know, you want to keep it locked to here too, you know, Face Hero in the house. I got a interview coming out with Megan McCarthy talking about Bear Brick over at Apple TV, which is very surreal to make a children's show out of collectibles I thought about in high school. This entire podcast about how old we all are. And of course, I want to shout out, go listen to JB on Mostly Superheroes because I listened to it. It was a good time. I love those guys. They're very fun.
Love it. All right, y'all. Thank you so much, everybody, for hanging with us. Everybody who was at CCW this weekend, if literally any of you from Face Hero were there, I think some of you were. Thank you so much for coming out and having a good time at the CCW show. This Thursday in Louisville, I got the promotion. I'm on the live OVW show, OVW Rise. It's BD. It's Jack Vaughn. He thinks he's an influencer. Oh, let's teach him something. I think I'm a wrestler. Let's have a good time. Thank you, everybody who supported this insane wrestling journey I'm trying to go on. It's been a lot of fun. Daredevil Director Debrief will release on the channel tomorrow night. That is not live. That's just a video you can watch whenever you want. It's going to be in podcast form as well. And then we will be live as well to share our thoughts on the episode 4 of Daredevil Born Again. So please continue to join us and have fun with us. We had over 100 people watching live. There's still 130 with us right now just for the outro of the show. Thank you so much, everybody, for hanging with us. Please continue to subscribe to the channel, my channel, everybody's channel here on the panel. And, you know, it helps us get opportunities, create more content, and just be a part of this whole thing. We just keep stumbling upwards, everybody. Let's keep doing it. Thank you for hanging, and we will see you tomorrow night. Bye. Your dad play for your cat.